So today is Nexsure training session 2 of the CRM training, and we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. So remember that when you first log into Nexsure, you're going to land on the Home Action screen. If you want to access one of your client accounts, remember that that's going to be done by clicking on Search on the primary menu. Okay, and so here I am. I'm sitting on the primary menu, and then from here, if we don't see the client that we've been working on the screen, we can enter in a few characters of the client name here and hit search. But my client is actually right here on the screen. So to open it up, I click the details icon of the record, and it's going to bring me into the client's card file. Now, if you'll recall, yesterday we created a marketing application. And that marketing application, once you're on the client record, will be found under the marketing link. One thing I'd like to point out to you is that since we have added a marketing application and we assigned a carrier to it, that prospect is now showing up on the screen instead of suspect. Okay, and that happens at the point where we refresh the screen by maybe clicking on the client record again. And then to get into the marketing record, like I said, we're going to click on the marketing link on the client menu, and it brings up a list of all the marketing records that we've created previously. So to open up this particular marketing record, remember to get into it, you're going to click on the details icon. Okay, and that's going to bring us into the record. All right, now, so the next thing that I really wanted to talk about, now yesterday we learned how to deliver something, but today I was talking to the producer about this account, and we're just continuing on with a different scenario here. And the producer asked me if I would send this over to another carrier so we could get another quote for it. Now in Nexsure, you can do that by getting a copy of this record. And how do we do that? If you go back to the marketing link on the client menu, and you right-click on the details icon. Remember, the details icon is the little icon with the pencil on it. So if I right-click, and then there's two choices here. One says Market Existing, and one says Mass Marketing. Okay, so Market Existing will allow me to get a copy of the application, but it won't assign a carrier on it. I'll have to do that after the record is created. The other option is Mass Marketing, and what this does is it allows me to choose the carrier, and then it creates the marketing record, adding the carrier to the header. So I'm going to start with that. So Mass Marketing, and when I click on the Mass Marketing option, it brings up this pop-up window here. And this is where you'll choose the carrier that you want to market the record with. So if you want to keep track of the different carriers that you're sending the marketing information to, this is how we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and select my issuing carrier here. So let's go, we'll choose Auto Owners. My billing carrier, I don't have a policy number yet. My policy description is going to stay the same, but my action description, I'm going to change that. I don't want to have that say Mass Marketing. That's not very helpful. I want to do just like I did before and make sure that I use my same naming conventions that I used previously. Or for auto owners. If I click Save, it's going to go ahead and add the record and close this window. If I click Save and Add, which I'm going to do, it's going to save and add that marketing record for me, and then bring up another window here where I can go in and just choose other carriers. So you're just going through and you're selecting all the different carriers that you need to market to. So I'm just going to do the one to keep it simple today. So I'm going to close that. And now when I return back to the marketing summary view, there's only the Hartford record in there, and that's because the screen needs to be refreshed. I want to see if it's done creating the record. So I'm just going to click on the marketing link up here on the client menu. And now I see the auto owner's record. The first thing that you want to do with these records that you create is to open them up by clicking the details icon. And if you did market existing, you would need to choose your carriers here, but since we did the mass marketing, I don't need to do that. But I do want to click the Save Changes link. And the Save Changes link should take that carrier that you just added and populate it down into the billing section of the application. Now here in the training site, it doesn't do that for me, so I'm going to do it. I'll just open up the form, plus any coverage changes that you need to make. You want to open up the form and make those if they're appropriate for that particular carrier. So I want each one of these applications to match whatever offerings the carrier has. So billing is where the carrier name should go, and you see it didn't bring that in, and that's going to be Hartford's NAIC, and I don't want that in there. Just going to highlight that. Now you can copy it if you want to, or you can. I'm not holding down my mouse button. I just highlighted it, and then I am holding my mouse button, and I can drag it and then let go of the mouse button, and that's going to drop it. If you prefer to use that method, that's certainly something that you can do. We definitely want to save it, so I can use Next, Previous, Save Changes, or I can click on any link in the open form, and that'll save it. I'm going to pop down next to the other form, and I don't want to go to the next form until I saved what I had in there before. I actually did copy that, so I'm just going to paste it in there. Delete out the NAIC code and then save it. So I go in, change it coverage-wise if I need to. The next thing that I want to do is return back to header level, and that's just to click the underwriting link at the top, and then I'm going to click on the icon over here, the little envelope with the arrow in it, and this is going to allow me to deliver it. Now this was the last thing that we did yesterday, so I'm going to recap it for you real quick. I click on the envelope, and it brings me over to the Delivery tab. I'm sitting on the Email tab right now, and if we are going to fax it, of course click on the Fax tab by all means. My attachments will remain with it even if I do switch tabs. Here we're going to go ahead and enter in our title. Our title is how we're identifying this delivery. So that's our information. It's not going to go with the delivery, and it's what we're going to search by. So this is our auto owners auto. It's a short field, so you're going to need to remember that sometimes you might need to abbreviate. So it's a quote, and if I want to go back and abbreviate something, I might just pick something there. Okay, so it's a request, a quote request. And then I want to get the to field populated, and if you'll recall, how I did that yesterday was I clicked on the address book icon. It will default to the issuing carrier that you've added to the record. That's the entity that I want to send it to. I'm going to choose placement and then click select, and it populates the email or the fax. I'm going to hit close. Then I fill the rest of this out. So this is a quote request for and then I enter in my information. Dear James, please quote Okay, so next, naturally, I would click the send the link up here and just send it. I'm just going to save it for right now by clicking the save draft so you can kind of see how that works. And basically what that does is it's going to save it out here and just kind of leave it hang out until I come back later and finish it. So it's a draft item that will hang out there until I come back out and finally send it. Alright, so what I want you to do, guys, for your little exercise is to go to the marketing on the client record that you were creating yesterday during the class. And I want you to mass market and do that for one carrier. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording. After we have sent that out to the carriers for a quote, they're going to at some point send you back the results of their hard work. And that would be in the form, I guess, of a quote, a rate, or maybe you rated it yourself if you didn't send it out. So if that's the case, you still have information that you need to add to Nexsure. So we want to open up the record. So I'm actually on the underwriting tab, and remember, again, that's clicking on marketing. The details icon of the marketing record is what brings us here. And then clicking on the policy info tab is going to bring us in where we can edit our policy info information, and that is actually the premiums and the commissions. Okay, this information on the screen will ultimately end up being in our book of business report if we write this as a policy in our agency. So we always want to make sure that we get this populated before we enforce these records. But let's talk just a minute about what we see here. At the top part of the screen, we see that same header information that we saw on underwriting, only I can't change it from here. We also have underneath it a navigation toolbar, and you'll notice that the links on there are not active, and they won't ever become active because there are other ways to save that information on the policy info tab. We also have, just like we did on the underwriting screen, a navigation tab. This one's a little shorter, and all these really do is when we click on these links is they pop us into different parts of the screen. You can see the screen down below moving as I'm clicking these links. So I just love these little links because they can pop me into these different areas of that screen very quickly. First thing that...
just really quick, I don't see anything moving on my screen on your monitor.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
You're locked at the marketing.
Okay, so do you see your little edit link on the right here, or is it in the middle of the screen?
We're on the main screen with where it shows the two different
On the
one
marketing
for the one for
screen,
auto owners. Yep.
Yeah, it's like your screen is your header now.
Okay, got it. All right. So I guess I accidentally turned off our view. So now let's go back. I'll just backtrack a little bit so that we'll do this. So if I click on the underwriting tab, we clicked on marketing, we clicked the details icon, and we landed here. We click on the policy info tab, and now this is the screen that I was talking about. This is the header that we can't change from here. So it's just like the underwriting screen, it's that we can't change it. And then underneath is your navigation toolbar with the links that are going to be inactive because there are other ways to save things on this screen. This is the navigation tab right here, and this is where we click on these little links. You see how it popped down to premiums? You guys are seeing that move now, right? Agency commissions, other commissions. Do you see how that's working there? Okay, so I'm going to go back up to miscellaneous here, and this is where we're going to begin populating the information on this screen. So again, like I said, this is going to actually be part of your book of business report. It'll pull from here, actually, is what I should say, into that report. So we always want to make sure that we absolutely get this populated prior to enforcing any policies. Right now, we're just documenting the quote info. So I'm going to click the edit link here on the right, and it's going to open it up. And then here it's asking me to identify the bill method. In this case, it's an agency bill policy. It won't be direct bill, so I'm going to change it. Also, the annualized box here is checked, and that always comes in checked, but the thing that you need to do there is to uncheck that box if you are actually writing a short-term policy. Let's say I write a policy that's just not going to get renewed again, and it's only a 3-month policy. Well, I certainly wouldn't want to create an endorsement invoice and have Nexsure annualize that, because it just wouldn't be accurate. So just make sure that you uncheck that box if you have a situation like that, special event policy or anything like that where you're not going to actually renew it or have a full annual term. 6 months is fine if you want the premium to annualize. Click OK, and it saves that. Next up, I'm going to pop down here to the premiums, so I just click on the premiums link. I'm going to click the details icon for the premiums, and then I'm going to enter in my information on this screen. Now really the only thing I have to have here, or should have anyway, is the estimated premium. I can, if I want to, I can populate the information up here in the header. Okay, so it's a California, I want to do auto. So that's optional. You can leave it just as premium if you want to. The effective date is going to come from the policy term effective date up here. And then we're going to enter in our estimated premium. And that's going to be the amount that somebody has sent to us as far as a quote goes. The annualized field. Now if we're going to be invoicing in Nexsure, and this is going to be a new policy, I just want to leave that at 0. If I'm just adding my policy to Nexsure to put it into the system for the first time, we're not going to invoice it right now. I'm just putting it in here. We already had it maybe in our old system. Then sure, you can put the annualized premium in, providing that you're not going to invoice that part. Or if you're not going to invoice in Nexsure at all, and you want to just have that so that it turns up in your reports, or when you're looking at the summary view, it shows up. But if we're going to invoice it, if it's a new policy or we just renewed it and we're going to invoice it, we want the annualized at 0. Because as we create the invoices, the annualized will become populated automatically. The build is grayed out, and I can't change that even if I wanted to. And the only way that gets populated is through the posted invoice. The commission type here is always going to default to branch and people, and basically what that means is our agency is going to get a commission, and we're going to give our employees either production credit, or maybe we are paying them based on commission. If you choose branch here, then only your branch is going to get commission. That means I'm not giving any of my employees production credit or a cut of the commission. And then people, I'm giving you all of the commission to my employee. Or no branch, no people, nobody's getting anything. Okay, so we're going to leave it on the default, which is most common. And then taxable, yes or no. I'm going to go ahead and flag that as taxable. If you do have a policy that is taxable, whether the taxes are going to the carrier or they're going to the tax authority, you must flag it as taxable in order to be able to calculate the taxes if you're using a percent. So I'm going to click OK there, and notice how it popped that in, and now it's got the taxable box checked. So there's my estimated. I'm going to pop on down to the taxes, and I'm going to add new tax. These taxes will have been added to my system for me by my administrator. The drop-down box here is what you can apply the taxes to. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it to the premium here. When I apply it to the premium, I'll be able to select the line of business to apply it to. The tax code, these are the tax codes that are in our training site, so they can certainly be different in your live site. Okay, notice there's a little word default out here to the right of that tax code field, and if you remember to click on that, you'll save yourself a lot of work. It will populate all the way down any information that your system administrator or accounting person has added to your Nexsure site for you to use. Okay, so this is all set and I don't need to change a thing. So I'm going to click OK and it's going to go ahead and add that information. Again, we're not populating the annualized here because we're going to invoice it if we write it if we make it a policy. My agency commission is here, and all I'm going to do is click on the details icon. Nexsure's trying to help you with this, so really if there's something on the screen, just work with that. There's no need to add anything new unless there's something missing. So if I need something that's not here, then sure, I am going to add it. But if it exists and I just need to edit it, remember that it's just clicking the details icon. I'm going to change this to 18%. I worked out a deal with my underwriter, and when I hit the tab key, it's going to calculate the estimated. Now that commission came across automatically because when I was on the underwriting screen, I don't know if you'll remember this from yesterday, but I'll remind you. When I added the issuing carrier, and then I clicked the Save Changes link, I had a little pop-up box that came up. And in that pop-up box, I hit the Reset button. And anytime you hit the Reset button, if you have commission defaults, those commission defaults, if they match, will be added to the Policy Info tab automatically. And that's where that commission came from. If you don't have any commission default, you might see a red message on the screen that says, hey, there's not any commission defaults in here, and that could happen because we didn't have one or because we didn't hit the reset button on that little pop-up window on the prior screen. So just something to kind of keep in mind. If there's not anything there, I have a red message, then I definitely am going to have to click the Add New to add it. But if it is there and you're just editing it, use the details icon. Down here is my other commissions, which is my employees and my agency. Now this employee is automatically here, and again that's coming from that employee's record on their commission tab. A default has been set up. And the thing that we're looking for here is to make sure that the production credit for each commission line item on the Policy Info tab equals 100%, which we see right here. I've got 100% production credit for this line of business. And if I scroll up just a little bit, you'll see the agency commission line there. So I would expect to find one line item down here for this. Now we didn't add a fee, and fees can be commissionable too. So if I had a commissionable fee, I might expect that down here as well. Down here on this particular employee, they have a rate, and what the rate does is it allows Nexsure to record a payable for that employee. So if you're actually paying the employee based on a percentage of the agency's commission, then you would expect to see a rate here. If we're paying the employee on salary, then we would not expect to see a rate here. I might expect to see a 0 there. Or if you're the owner of the agency and you don't get commission, you just want to see the items that you're bringing in to the agency. So I might see a 0 there with 100% production credit. Remember not to get the production confused with the rate. They're two different things. Production just says, hey, this is this employee brought this into our agency and he did 100% of the work, not that he's getting paid 100%. So don't get that confused. Now what I'd like for you to do is to go ahead, open up your record, one of your records, by going to Marketing, going to the Details icon of the marketing record, and put in your premium. Now I want you to add a premium of $1,105. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so if I have a marketing record, the policy info tab, and my other commission sections has a little message like this: no valid commission defaults exist for other commissions. What that means is that my employee that's assigned to this record doesn't have a commission default. So if I go to the Assignment tab right here and I look at it, Trainee AH is assigned to this one. So if I click the Details icon and open it up, we notice that Trainee AH has no valid commission defaults. Okay, so instead of me just changing it there, I can also add another assignment. Let's say maybe that person is the producer or the account manager. I can go ahead and add somebody else to this one, and I just kind of want to show you this, who does have a commission default. And notice how it doesn't have a red message anymore. It has a little checkbox instead down here that says Update Other Commissions in Policy Info. And if I were to hit Save right now, it's going to update the Policy Info tab with this information. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just to show you. If I go to the Policy Info tab now and click on Other Commissions, see how it added that name in there? So provided that the employee has a commission default, whether the rate, no matter what the rate is, even if it's 0, as long as it's set up as a commission default, it's going to populate on the screen when you're adding them. If you don't have the default set up, then we get that red message like we saw before. So just wanted to let you know that, and I'm going to get off of this account and go back to the one I was working on.
Now if I refresh.
Okay, now I want to go back to marketing, and I want to show you what my screen looks like now. So I've got my 2 premiums added. So I've got my estimated, and I've got my estimated for Hartford and one for auto owners. And each of them have an A by it. An A means agency bill. If you see a D out there, that means direct bill. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to make sure to share with you guys that I didn't share with you, didn't get a chance to share with you yesterday, is the fact that you have the ability to create coverage templates. And I think somebody asked me that yesterday, or maybe I mentioned I was going to show you, not sure. But if you go to the Details icon of any marketing record where you've totally completed your application, if we click on the plus link on the navigation tab by that line of business that you want to create a coverage template from, and then click on the plus by the form number, the template link will light up. So the form just needs to be open starting from the high level. So it's 2 clicks into it and template will light up. Click on the template link, and then here to create a coverage template, you'll notice that we have a bunch of them out here already. Okay, so we've been adding them for a long time. But you'll notice here that a lot of them have the state on them, and the reason that we do that is so that you can identify which state form they'll work with. So when you are adding a coverage template that is using a state-specific form, always make sure you enter in the state so that you know which form it's going to work with, because Washington is not going to work with Alabama. Okay, they're not made the same. So in order to create a new one, you're going to check the box down here by Add New. If you want to use an existing one to populate your form, you find the form you want to use and click the little radio button here. Okay, I'm going to create a new one, so I'm just going to cancel and go back. Add New. Next. And then I like to give it a name, and this one's a state form, so I'm going to enter that in here. So it's California, stuck on Alabama there. And then I'm going to enter in the limits. So it's 1 million with all no answers. Okay, so I'm going to put in the description so that I can easily identify it. Click Next. You'll notice that these labels match what's in your navigation tab over here. So I'm going to pull coverages-auto, and anything that's not specific to a client I could pull. General info is where those questions were. And I'm going to click Next. And notice at the bottom there's a drop-down box with both of those sections in it that I chose. So next, I can come in and I can choose the fields that I want to include individually, or I can check this little box right here and it'll check all the boxes for this section. I could go the next one and do the same, or randomly select, or I could check this top box, which will select all of the check boxes in both of these sections down here below. That's what I'm going to do. I hit Finish, and it says that it's created my template. So I click OK. Now I'm going to go to any client that has a marketing application that's California Auto, and I open it up just like I did this, 2 clicks. You'll find Template, click on it, and then you will find the template that you want to use. Then there's the one I just created down here. Okay, and then I'll select it, and then I'll hit populate. Well, I'm not going to do that now because this one's already populated, but I would just want you to know that's how it works. And I'm just going to close it. So you're going to want to use those coverage templates because they will save you time, especially if you have to manually add your applications. Take advantage of it. Once you've done that first one, go ahead and create your coverage template from it. You can also, if you need to, let's say that you've got a married couple that had insurance with you and they get divorced, but you're going to still be writing both their policies, but they're not going to be as a family unit, so you want to split it off. You can copy the template, every one of those fields if you want to, and then pull it in to the other entity's application that you create so that you don't have to do the whole thing from scratch again. So that'll kind of make it handy too, so you can use it that way. Alright, so now the next thing that I want to talk to you about is creating a proposal. But before I do that, I want to talk about how we keep track of all these marketing records, because I highly doubt, at least I can't anyway, that you do have a photographic memory and you're going to know every single marketing record that you need to work on. So if you're like I am and you can't remember from one day to the next what you need to do, you're going to let Nexsure help you keep tabs of it all. Now I could have had my action here open, certainly, I could have done that, but there's another place. It doesn't even depend on an open action. All I have to do is go to the home link on the utility menu, and click on the marketing link here. The home screen is all about me, provided that I'm added as an assignment on the policy record. It's going to show up here for me on the home marketing screen. Okay, I do have two pages of information here. So you can see that these are separated by a client, and it's showing me under each one the marketing records that have been created. I'm going to go to the next page. If you are not assigned to the record, okay, maybe your office doesn't work like that. Maybe you work because you and you're assigned to a particular producer. You don't really work and are not assigned to any of the policies. That's easy enough to do. All you have to do is click on the show link up here by the word filters, and you can see I already have mine set. This little option here where it says save filter settings and that box has a check in it, that tells me that I have my own save filter settings saved outside of the Nexsure defaults. And how do I do that on the screen? Well, you check that box and you're going to use not to type the date in and not the calendar, but the date variable icon. That's this little blue one here. If I click on that, this little pop-up comes up, and if we want it to default to today's date, you put a 0 in there. If I want it to go back, now I use a minus if I'm in the from field. So I could put in a 5 there if I wanted to go back 5 days. But if I want it to be today's date, I put a 0 in. I'm going to go over to the to date, and in the to date field we want to make sure that we don't enter in a minus or a plus or anything, just the number. So I'm going to go 45 days into the future. The default is 30 days. Hit submit, and then again, if you don't want your name in there, you could totally take it out, or you could put in the producer's name that you work for who is assigned to the records. I'm going to hit search. I'm going to leave it in my name, and then it's going to show me everything that's assigned to me. Mine is on page 2, and there it is. So you can kind of see how this works out. Now all of these records here are actually assigned to me. Okay, but this Atler one is the one that we're working on today. So that's the one I want to make sure to show you. So all of these are assigned to me, and they're going to show up on this screen. And this is how I can keep track of them. It doesn't have to be an open action, although that's certainly an option. Okay, let's talk about what's going on this screen here. All right, so some of the things that we have are details icons. The blue details icon by the client name, guess what that does? It takes you to the client card file. So if I were to click it, that's where I'd go. The white details icon by the underwriting record, this one right here that says auto owners way over here. If I click on that one, it's going to take me to the underwriting screen for that auto owner's marketing record. If I click on the details icon of this one, I'm going to go to the Hartford underwriting screen. This little icon right here is the assignment icon, who shows me who's assigned to the record. So if you just real quick want to know who's assigned to it. This little yellow icon right here opens up the action and lets me edit it from here should I need to. So I don't know, maybe I just want to make a note in there to say that I emailed the app to carrier for quote. So I could do all my editing from here. This one is still closed. I just wanted to notate it, but I could open it if I want to remind myself to do something. So you can see how I can change it, and that description changed right there on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to open it up. After talking with my producer on this, he's told me that he would like for me to offer up a quote for the Hartford one, because the Hartford one is a little bit lower than the auto owners one. So to do that, from here, I'm just going to click on the details icon. That's the white one. And again, that's going to take me right into the underwriting screen for that record. To do the proposal, we're going to click on the Attachments tab. right here. And this is going to allow me to set the focus to the record that I'm on. I'm still at underwriting level, and you can clearly see that from these tabs here. I'm going to click the Add New link on the right, just because that's where you're used to looking. There's one on the left too. And then I'm going to create document with template. And what that is it is going to allow me to take a document template that's been created for my use, so it will merge with actual data on the client's account. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And then the description is just like before. I'm going to use my naming convention, my 2014, and this is the California Auto, and this is my proposal. If you purchase the portal for the retail agent or the client, these checkboxes down here below are what you can check to allow them to view this document. Now, they'll only be able to view it if you check the box and you've given them security, of course, to log into the portal. I'm going to click on the next link, and it's going to bring me to the next screen. This screen is where you search for the template. Now, if you're new to Nexsure and you only have a few document templates in there, you could just click search, and it's going to go out and bring in every single template that you've got down here at the bottom. If you want to search for it, because we have a lot of them out here in this training site, we're going to type in part of the name up here at the top. Okay, now there's a sample template out there, and the end of it says version 3 on it, for commercial lines that you guys will have in your live sites too. So it's intended to give you a start. It's a sample proposal. So down here at the bottom, you can, if you want to, choose your category, choose your business type, just to kind of help you locate your template. Click search, and there it is at the bottom. It's the XTTI Commercial Proposal version 3. That's exactly what I was looking for. I click next, and it's going to bring up this next window where I can choose what I want to merge into the template. So at the top, it's going to let me choose from the drop-down boxes if you have multiple named insureds, multiple contacts, multiple addresses, or multiple assignments. So whatever you choose up here is what's going to merge in the template. Down here at the bottom, you'll notice that it already has a line of business in it, and if you scroll to the right, you can see that that's a drop-down box there. Okay, and it's already selected the auto, and the reason that it has is because we're at underwriting level. Okay, so it makes it a little easier here. I know that this document template is about this marketing record, so doing it from tab level makes it a little easier for me. Click OK. And it's going to go ahead and launch Word. And it's going to begin the merge process. So it's going to take fields from the client and the application in this case and merge it to this Word document. Okay, and here it is. It's got little field codes in there, and these will ultimately end up being replaced with actual data. At the bottom of the screen, it tells you what it's doing down here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this a little bit so you guys can see it. You can see it working back there. There we go. And it's working its magic. It's putting all that data in there, and now it's done. So all those field codes that were in there were actually replaced with data. I'm going to scroll on down. There's the premium that came from the Policy Info tab. And then on down here is your business auto with the coverages that we added. Okay, and I'm going to fix this because it has an empty page down here. So all you have to do really is click down here at the bottom, and you can extend that page, or you could remove some of the space up above. So there we go. Now I can work on the template if I need to by coming in here and typing information in. If I need to do that, I can certainly do that. This is a change. Okay, so I can put something in there. I can also come in and import stuff in from my computer. Let me just get this lined up. By clicking on add-ins, the top, that little tab, and then there's a little paste button up here. These little options right here are the Nexsure options, Nexsure fields, Nexsure save. These ones that are grayed out are only available in setup when we're creating our templates. Paste is going to allow you to pull in another document from this client by clicking that little button, and when I hover over it, it tells me what it's going to do. Or I can pull from my computer by clicking this little button. So if I do that, and I go down here and I'm going to pull a document from my desktop. Click open, and then down here if I click cursor, it's going to put it where the cursor was, which was at the end of this document. And there it is. So it brought in another proposal that I had done. I'm just going to undo that, but you can kind of see how that works. I can also, if needed, pull information from Nexsure fields by clicking the Nexsure fields button, which will open up the XML tree, which can be resized if needed. Click on the little plus, and I'm going to click on the auto, and then if I scroll down, you'll see the actual form. I can open up the form. Anything that doesn't have a plus on it just means simply you didn't populate that part of the form or that particular field. Okay, so if I want to pull a driver, for example, there's their name, and I can just drag it, and there it is. And you'll notice that name's already in here. Okay, I'm going to undo that. So that's just a couple of ways that you can use this document. I'm going to close the Nexsure fields by clicking the Nexsure fields button. Now when you're ready to save it, you want to click Nexsure Save. You can also print it from here by clicking File, Print, but you can't do Save As because it's going to just remind you that you got to use the Nexsure Save. In order to save it back to Nexsure, that's what you're going to do. If this is a completed document, I'm going to mark complete. If it's a draft, I want to come back and edit it. That's what draft means. If I click OK, it's going to leave it as a draft so I can come back in and change it. If I mark it as complete, then nobody's going to come in and be able to edit it. If I click Save and Return in Draft and click OK, it's going to save what I've done so far to Nexsure and bring the screen back up. So if I get interrupted, I might use that option. You also have the ability to save it to your computer by clicking this little button here. That little button right there that looks like a folder. And I might use that if I were sitting here more than 4 hours. There's a 4-hour timeout. So if I've been sitting here more than 4 hours, do not even try to save it back to Nexsure because you will lose it. Just save it to your desktop. You already learned how you can pull it in by using the paste option. One thing about the paste option too, and I can't remember if I mentioned or not, is that the document has to be a DLC extension type. It cannot be a DLCX. If you save it from Nexsure, it's going to save it as a DLC. Okay, so I'm going to mark it as complete. I'm actually through with it. I'm done. I don't want anybody coming in and messing with it once I'm done with it. Click OK. It's going to save it back to Nexsure. And there it is. Alright, so that's all finished now. My producer went out, he delivered the proposal, discussed it with the client or potential client, our prospect, and they accepted. Okay, so when they accept, we're going to enforce the policy. But before I do that, I'd like to have you go out and create on one of your policies, just go ahead and create a document template. Now, if anybody has done a personal lines, go ahead and use one of the personal lines ones out there. You can just search for the word personal, and you'll find a personal line one out there that you can use. The XDTI Commercial Proposal version 3 is only going to work with commercial lines. The next thing is to go in to the underwriting screen of that one that we offered the proposal to and they accepted, and to enforce our marketing record. Okay, but before I do that, I'm actually going to want to clean up the one they didn't accept. So marketing, and it doesn't matter what order you do this in. So I'm doing it now just to save a step and not having to remember to go back. So on this one, this is the one that they accepted, and this one is the one that they declined. Okay, so I'm going to click the details icon here, or the shortcut would be to right click on the details icon and click send to history. I love the shortcuts myself, so I always like to take them if I can. The pop-up box is going to come up, and then when the pop-up box comes up, this is the same. If I just left-clicked on the details icon and clicked on the history link, that's what brings this up. So that little right-click brought it up automatically. These three statuses are in Nexsure, and you cannot change these. Okay, so these cannot be added to. This one was declined by the client. The reasons, however, you can add in your Nexsure site. These are added as action types, an action type. So it was declined due to price. And then down here, I want to enter in the reason. So I can get very specific with it if I need to. So written with Hartford for, you know, X amount less. So we'll just say $200 less. And I'm not sure, I can't remember how much it was, but you will in real life. So you enter in whatever you want there and then click save, and that's going to append to the action that was already on the record. You'll also notice just how fast that was. That header turned from that wheat color to a gray color. This is still a marketing record, but it's a marketing history record. It's got a status in here now of declined by client, and anytime we see a gray header in Nexsure, it's an older version or a history version. So this one's sitting in history now. So if I go back to marketing on the client menu, you'll notice that it's no longer there. If I click on the history tab, it's going to be sitting out here. So if I need to click the details icon to look at it, I can certainly still do that. I'm going to go back to marketing. Next, I'm going to click the details icon of that marketing record, and we're going to enforce it. Okay, before you enforce any policies, I always recommend you look it over first. You want to make sure that the information on the screen is correct before you enforce it. Okay, so I'm going to look at things like the date. I want to make sure that's right, because now I can change it any way I need to. Okay, remember, providing that I haven't changed the status. If I change that status to anything other than pending, I can't update the application. So pending is going to let me update the application. You can change it back to pending if you changed it to anything else. But check this, make sure it's right. Now's the time to change it if you need to. Make sure you have an issuing and billing carrier. If you've got a policy number and you need to enter that in now, go ahead and do it. Again, it'll save you a step later if you do it now. Okay, and then I've got my policy description. Okay, this guy is finished now, and everything on it is correct. So we're going to enforce it, and you'll notice here on the navigation toolbar that there's an enforce link right here. This is going to let us move it from a marketing record to a policy record. So I click on enforce, All right, and now I've got an enforce record, or I have the option to enforce it. Enforce means I just want to move it from marketing to policy. So I might do that if I don't need a binder or anything. A lot of times in personal lines you don't. If you are getting downloads, you might not be creating this in the first place. You might just wait for the download to bring it in. But this one we created manually. So if I need to mark it as bound, and what that does is it's going to flag it with the status of bound so that we can keep track of it, and it'll also give it a coverage term date for 30 days, depending on your binder default term. If I actually want to issue a binder, I'm going to click this little box right here where it says click here to create a binder. Now you don't have to do this. If you don't know if you need a binder yet, or you forget, you can always put the binder in later. So don't fret about it. Okay, we're going to do that today just so I can show you how it works. Click Save, and it's going to take that marketing record and move it over to policies. Okay, the thing that's popping up on the screen right now is an action, this little box right here. You may or may not have that in your life site. This is what we call a triggered action. And because I actually marked that policy as bound, and I'm going to have a binder to help keep track of it, I don't really have to have this. But I'm going to go ahead and show you just kind of how it works in case you guys decide that you might need it. This one is a topic of new business with the type of policy received. So we're looking for the policy to come in from the carrier on a piece of new business. That's what that means. Open is going to mean that it will show up on my home action screen. That is, if it's assigned to me. And it's going to show up on 1/12. Now I can change that date if I need to a more appropriate date if it takes longer to get the policy in from the carrier. I could also assign it to Nexsure Trainer 28 here because they're also assigned to the record, or I could assign it to somebody else by choosing others and then typing in part of their first name and part of their last name and hitting search, and then it's going to go out and find those matches. So if I leave it like that, it's going to be assigned to Teresa. Okay, I'm just going to assign it to me. The policy is already selected because I was on the policy, the marketing record, when I clicked the Enforce link. Down here, I'm going to use my naming conventions just like before. Whoop. So this is a bound policy. And then down here, I'm going to put check for receipt of policy from carrier. So that's going to remind me what I need to do when I see this action. So you just type in there whatever you need to remind yourself to do. When I click Save, it's going to save it, and then it'll show up on my home screen on the appropriate date. Okay, here behind it, I see my binder. It just brings you right into the binder. Now you can tell where you are again from the bolded tabs. That Binders tab is a summary view of all the binders that are open by default, and then the Details is the detail of a binder. And the first thing that you want to do when you get on the binder, if you created one, is to click on the Details icon and edit the date if you need to. Sometimes because of the short term of the month or the long date on the month, that date might be wrong. So I can click on the little icon there and change it very easily by just typing over, and that's the easiest way to do the binders. Click Apply, click OK, and now it's changed the date. The one thing that little message said that popped up that I just kind of blew by was telling me don't forget to hit the Save Changes link, because what I did was temporary. And it's talking about the Save Changes link in this navigation toolbar. So I'm going to click on that. And then the next thing I want to do is click the Preview link. Clicking the Save Changes link not only saves what you put in the header, but it's going to populate those changes to this binder And this navigation tab over here on the right is just like what we just saw on the marketing record. Okay, so let's preview it first. Then we'll see if we need to edit it at all. I'm going to scroll down. We see our lovely little binder come up here on the screen. Now again, I can maximize this binder by clicking that little maximize button. It'll kind of overtake the screen. One thing I want to point out too is that you can't print it yet. And we can't print it because it's not posted. Once it's posted, we'll be able to print it. So you just want to check it to make sure that everything is correct on it. Okay, so there's my information. Scroll on down, and there's an overflow on it down here at the bottom. Okay, so there's my detail that didn't fit on the binder. I'm just going to close that. And I want to edit this. So to edit it, just like the marketing record, you click on the plus, and then you go into the section of the form that you need to edit by clicking on the link. So if I want to go edit the coverages for the automobile, I click there, and then I want to go down to the physical coverage. I'm going to put in my comp and collision deductible. Even though it was in the overflow, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in here just to show you what you can do. Save changes is going to let me save it, or next, or previous, or clicking on any link in the open form. I'm going to click on the binders link at the top, which will return me back to header view. Okay, and now I'm going to post my binder by clicking the post link in the navigation toolbar. Are you sure you want to post this binder? Now once I post it, I won't be able to go back and edit this one. Okay? If I click cancel, I can go back and work on it. So if it's correct, I'm going to click OK and proceed. So now it's posted, and now I've got a binder that I can either print by clicking the print link, or I can deliver, which is to email or fax. Now notice that the printer icon is there and active. Okay, now what I want you guys to do for your exercise is to take one of your marketing records, preferably the one that you put the premium on, and enforce it for me. So go ahead and do that, and if you want to create a binder, go ahead. Click the little bound option and then the little binder checkbox. The next thing that we might do, of course, would be to deliver the binder, and I'm going to actually show you how you can combine the delivery of that binder. So you don't have to send your client 2 or 3 emails. I'm just going to send him one email. So when we're done with going through this little renewing process, I'm just going to do one email. Alright, so here I wanted to show you what we created. If I click on marketing, there are no marketing records out there. Okay, goody. I hope that doesn't mean my internet's going down again. That's happened to me before. Oh, let me clear my cache.
Mine did the same thing yours just did in the training.
Uh-oh. It could be our internet connection. Sometimes when we get in the GoToMeeting, it kind of takes some of our bandwidth. Okay, I'm going to go back into that. But we're not going to have any marketing records out there. You'll get a little pop-up box on that screen. What I usually do is hit the reset button. But you guys can determine by the little options available on there what you want to do. One of them is will take you to history, and one will take you to policies. If I click on the policies link, you'll notice that we now have a policy out here, okay, and it's a bound policy. It's not in marketing anymore. We moved it from marketing to policies. If I go to the details icon here, I've got a bound policy, and notice on the record here that it's got a coverage term date that's different than the policy term. The policy term is always the policy term. I might extend it, but that's all I can do to it. The coverage term is going to change throughout the lifetime of the policy. And right now, the definition of this one is actually linked to that binder because this is bound. The coverages on the policy right now are valid for this time range, and that's what coverage term means. So if I try to open up this form and I try to type something in here, and I want to get my headset close to the keyboard, you can hear me typing. Nothing happened in there. So it's not going to let me change it. And that's why I said before you enforce them in marketing, you want to make sure that you get everything updated over there before you enforce it. Otherwise, it just creates another step over here that I have to do to edit it. So we go back to underwriting. So this is a policy that is in force, okay? And I want to invoice it. I haven't invoiced it yet. Okay, so if I go to the Policy Info tab, come down here to premiums, we see the estimated premium that I entered in before, but no annualized or billed. When I invoice it, that's going to get populated. So I'm going to click the Transactions tab right here, not the transaction link on the client menu, but the Transactions tab. So very much easier if you go to tab level when you're creating invoices. It'll automatically set the default to this record. So always go to tab level when you're invoicing a particular policy. If you're invoicing a fee that has nothing to do with the policy, then by all means go to the transactions on the client menu. I'm going to click Add New Invoice right here. Okay, and it's going to create an invoice. It's giving me a number. It tells me who's created it. It's an unposted invoice. And really, because I just populated my Policy Info tab, this screen should really be ready to go. But I'm going to show you how you can edit it should you need to. I click on the Edit Invoice Header link, and that's going to let me edit the top part. All this information came from the Policy Info tab. Woohoo! That means I don't have to start from scratch. I'm so happy about that. That just saved me tons of work there. So we just want to edit what's here. If I've got a bill type here of term policy, what that means is I'm invoicing it for the term, the policy term. So I just wrote a new policy or I just wrote a renewed one. If I'm doing an endorsement bill, I want to choose endorsement. If I'm doing cancellation, I'm going to choose cancellation, so on and so forth. Okay, I'm not changing any of this other stuff right now, and I don't need to on this one, although it could be changed providing I have security to do it. I'm going to come on down. Unique invoice message. Whatever you type here is going to print on the invoice. So this is our new auto policy premium. And so the payment is due upon receipt. Whatever you type there will print on our lovely invoice. Internal note, that's just for your info. Won't print on the invoice. Click OK. Going to go down to the invoice bill to next. I didn't talk about this on the Policy Info tab, although I could have changed it there. What this does is it allows you to change what prints out on the invoice. It's not going to change where you expect to collect the money, who you expect to collect the money from. It's still going to be a receivable for this client, but it will change what prints on the invoice. So it's going to default, as I mentioned to you before, to the primary mailing address that you added to the client record when you set it up. But if I need to change it, there's a Change Bill To link, which would allow me to change it to any location added to the client's account by just clicking Next, going through and using the drop-down box here to choose the different locations. That location is actually the location name. So that's why you don't want to skip that field. I'm going to go back. I could assign it to anybody that was related to the account, which is something we can do. I can have the finance company on there. The finance company and the additional interest, these have to be added at search level under their respective entity, like client, for example. There's one out there for additional interest and one for finance companies. So if it's not added there, you can't pick it here. So the additional interest might be like a mortgagee, so if you have to send the invoice to the mortgagee or something, it has to be added to that global area so that I could choose them. Okay, so this is going to allow us to change that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come on down. There's my premium that came from the policy info tab. If I click the details icon here, I could change the premium. Okay, if I had this particular one, I didn't change my description on it on the policy info tab, but if I had, it would have brought it in here. So this was the California Auto. I'll just type it in here so you can kind of see how it prints on the invoice. If you need to change the amount, you can certainly do that right here. Anything that's in the amount due field is what you're invoicing for. So if it's a return premium, you're going to enter in a minus in the amount. If it's an additional premium, you're just going to enter in the amount. Going to click OK. And there it is. I'll scroll on down. It's got my agency commission, it's got my other commission, and this guy is now ready to post. However, as a best practice, I always recommend that you preview before you post. So we're going to click on the preview link on your navigation toolbar, and it's got a navigation toolbar just like everything else does. Click preview. From the top, you're going to choose your invoice format and choose the one with a number by it. Click OK. And it's going to bring up a preview of that little invoice before we post it. This will give you an opportunity to edit it if you see any mistakes. There it is. Scroll on down. There's my information. And down at the bottom is my little note. And notice it has that description in it that I entered. So this is good to go, and now we're ready to post it. If you're not ready, you just click on a link over here and go edit the section that you need to edit. Post now. It's going to let us post it. If I click OK, it's going to post it, which means I can't edit it anymore. And it's going to hit the general ledger. Cancel means, let me go back and edit some more. If I click OK on the post option and I'm up on the preview still, it's going to bring up a preview of it again without the word draft on it. Oh, and by the way, you can't print them until you posted them. So the printer icon will be grayed out until you post it. Now draft is not on it anymore. I could deliver it, which means to email it, or you could hit that printer icon in the preview if you want to mail it. Again, I'm going to save the delivery so I can show you how to package it up. So I'm going to go back to transaction summary, and it's going to take me back to the summary view. Now I want you guys to go out to the policy that you just placed in force. And if you're on the binder now, all you have to do is click on policies, click the details icon, and then go to the transactions tab and click add new invoice. So go ahead and add your invoice. So the next thing that we might do in our workflow is to go ahead and create auto ID cards. Okay, because we've got an auto policy here, and how do we do that in Nexsure? Okay, we're going to click on Servicing on the Client menu. And then over here under Services, The last link says verifications, and what that basically means is verification of auto coverage. We are going to select from the records that are automatically displayed. Only the records that you can issue auto ID cards for will be displayed. Click Next. Notice that my auto ID card has two cards ready to go. That came from my application. Now if I didn't put anything on my application, there won't be anything here. So again, I'm going to put my reference in, and I like to put this in so that I can identify from year to year what the auto ID cards were that I've issued previously. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in here. And then if I do enter anything in the header, this is just a general rule across the board, you want to make sure to click the Save Changes link in the navigation toolbar. Okay, we see the two auto ID cards that were in there, and if you wanted to preview it, you could click the details icon. If you don't and you feel pretty confident, you can go ahead and issue all. Okay, I just want to show you. So I'm going to click on the details icon on one of these cards. I'm going to click the preview, and this would let me preview the card. I can't print it just like the other one because it's not issued yet. Come on down. There it is. Okay, if you needed to change it, you can come in here and change it. If I need to change the name, for example, hit Save Changes. I go back to the auto verification, you'll notice that it's in there, and it's also in the drop box below. Okay, so I could choose that, and you can also choose the drivers. So depending on the requirements in your state, you might actually have to have the driver name on the card. If the drivers and the application, it'll be in the drop-down box. Okay, if I want to take that name and I want to copy it down to all the cards below, I click on the Update All link, and it's going to add that top name to all the cards below. Clicking the Save Changes link is going to allow me to keep it. Once we're ready to issue it, we're going to click Issue All. It's going to lock it down. Okay, if you're not sure, you can click Cancel and go back and continue working on it. If you are sure, you can click OK. We're done with those, and now we're going to either print them or we can deliver them. If you want to print them, you can click the Print link if you've got more than one. Choose your printer, click Print, or you can merge it to a PDF and click Print. Okay, if you only had one, you could click the printer icon over here too. I promised I'd show you how to do a delivery where we can combine multiple things. So let's go do that. Now, a quick way to do a delivery, if I'm on a client record, is just to click Add Delivery. And since this is actually combining several different things, that might be the easiest way to do it, and I don't have to navigate to policy level. So click Add Delivery here. And the first thing that I always do when I'm working with my deliveries, if I'm emailing or faxing attachments, I always add the attachments first because otherwise I have a tendency to forget. So over here on the right, I'm going to click on the Add by one of these things that I'm attaching. So Add by Invoices. I have an invoice I want to add. Now the very first thing that you want to do here is just read it to see what you're choosing. If you don't see the record that you're looking for, you can click the Show link and look for it. Okay, this is the record. We only had the one invoice. I'm going to click Next, and on this screen it's going to let me choose my invoice style. A tip for you is to make sure that you choose the invoice format first before checking the box below. If you don't do that, you're going to get the default, which is the top one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose the contemporary. I select the one with a number by it. And next I'm going to go on to the next thing I want to attach, which was verifications, which is auto ID cards. Again, I'm going to let it lead me. So I'm going to choose next. There's my 2 cards. I want both of those. And then I want to go over to the binders because I do have a binder I'm going to get too. And there's my binder. Any of these blue links, by the way, if you're not sure, you can click on them and it'll bring it up and let you look at it. The document template that I did, if you decide that you need that in there too, you can go over to Other, and there it is. If I click Attach, it's going to pull all of those in. Okay, so there's all these things, and I didn't have to bounce in and out of that box at all. I just went to the different tabs of all the items that I needed to put in this email. Okay, one thing you might want to keep in mind is the size of the application. If you have, these are small things that we're doing here, so we know that their inbox will probably be fine with it, but keep in mind that folks' inboxes can get too full, so if you try to send something too big, it could be rejected. Okay, so if I decide, hey, you know what, I don't know why I added that and I don't need it, you can remove it by clicking the remove icon. Now, one thing to notice as I'm adding things to the delivery is I'm clicking on the word add here to initiate, not the plus. The plus, all it does is expand. You can kind of see that. So let's finish this up. I'm going to put in my title. So this is the 2014, and this is a binder. Whoop, let's do auto binder. Auto binder has an invoice with it, and it also has auto ID cards. Remember, that's my information. And the next thing I'm going to do is use my address book to populate who it's going to. I could be doing the same thing on the fax tab. It's going to default here to delivery history, and it's only showing my delivery history. Now I could take out my name, and now anything that I type in here to search for is going to search for anybody's delivery history in my Nexsure site. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Also, if I'm sending this to the client, the fastest way to do it is to change the entity drop-down box to contacts, and it's going to default to the client contacts that I've added to this client. So I'm just going to make my selection here, and down here at the bottom I choose the position of where I want it to go, and then I'm going to hit select, and notice that it populates. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I do have a delivery template that I'm going to go ahead and use as well. And it's going to be found right here. So the first time I use a delivery template, and delivery templates are added by your system administrator in setup. But the very first time I use one, I want to click the top link. You find the template that you need. Now you might have to search for it by typing in part of the name and hitting search. If you have a lot, you might need to do that. We only have a few here. I click OK, and it goes ahead and it populates it, but it says, hey, we're unable to populate the following variables, and it says issuing carrier name. And the reason it can't do that is because I added the delivery at client level by clicking on Add Delivery. That's no problem. I'm not going to worry about that. Here's the field. If I were at policy level, underwriting level, it would have populated it with the right carrier name in there. But since I'm not, I'm just going to highlight this, and I'm going to type over it. Okay, and then also, it's more than just auto ID cards. Please find your, let's do auto binder. Auto binder, invoice, and ID cards for your policy with Hartford Accident. Please let me know if you need any additional information, and this guy is pretty much ready to go now. Okay, I might want to add to this one. So again, you could just copy this information here. And I could put that in here. The recipient's going to see this, so do keep that in mind. This is our information. The recipient will see that as the subject line of the email or the fax. Now if I'm ready to send it, I'm just going to click on the send link here on the screen, and it's going to send it off. Anytime that you have included an invoice, it's always going to give you this little pop-up window. Just click close on it. It's just letting you know that it created the report, and the invoice is actually a report. I already got it. I'm going to open that up and drag it over here so you can see it. And that's what they're going to get, whatever I put in on that screen. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do, guys, is go ahead, if you created an auto policy when you were following along today in the exercises, I want you to go ahead and create your auto ID cards for me. So please go ahead, take a few minutes and do that. So where are the auto ID cards sitting? Okay, the auto ID cards are going to be sitting off of policies. So if I click on the policies link, you'll notice there's a verifications tab, and there's the 2 auto ID cards that I issued. And then if I change the view at the top, we're going to see the masters. So you can open the master up, and then you'd have the ability to inactivate these. So at the end of the year, when you've renewed your policy for next year, you can inactivate the old one, and that'll get them off of the active view. Just remember that if you do inactivate them and click Save Changes, it's going to keep that. If you don't hit Save Changes, it won't. You can also reactivate by clicking the Activate All, and it'll let you activate them again. So if I made a mistake, that's nice to know. I can bring them back. The other thing that I wanted to make sure to share with you guys is the transactions here at client level. When I click on the transactions link, there's a couple of different views that I want you to see when you do create your invoices. I really like the invoice summary view because it will show me anything that I've invoiced, whether agency bill or direct bill. So if you have a combination, that's a really nice view. If you want to see what your client owes you, a detail assigned is probably going to be the view that you're going to want to see. If I click the show link here, you can see that it's looking for unpaid items that have been posted for agency bill, and it'll always go up through the current accounting month. So if I need to change that, don't forget you can change it and hit search, and it'll return your results. The other thing that you have the ability to do is to click on the client balance summary tab. Now it has aging on it, but the aging calculates in an overnight process. And again, it's only going to show that for agency billed items. Up here at the top, we'll see a grand total, and that's going to show up tomorrow. Also, you've got other information down here at the bottom of the screen that you might be interested in as well. So just some things that you might want to know. Tomorrow we're going to pick up where we left off. So for the homework assignment, I'm going to email that to you just like I did yesterday so that you guys can do your homework assignment to reinforce what you learned today. So if you don't have any questions for me, that's going to be all for today.